Storybook Brawl was nice enough to send me some dust codes, so I'm doing another giveaway. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can enter to win. What is up, everybody? I'm No Lux Given, and today we're going to be taking a look at another really spicy game with the Fates. And I've shown a bunch of really spicy games with this hero. There's a lot of really powerful things that it can do. You can become fated to a blind mouse, or a Humpty Dumpty, or sometimes even a Polywoggle. And there are a bunch of different ways to get really strong starts on this hero. But this time, we're going to wait. And we're going to delay our fated pick until I hit level 3, and that way we'll be able to get fated to a level 3 unit, a tier 3 unit that'll build into a 3-cost treasure and give us an upgraded 3-cost unit. So that can also be really powerful. There are certain circumstances that kind of lend towards this start. We get the roll the die in the first shop, and then we get Cindy in the second shop. And questing units don't count for your fated unit if you purchase a questing unit, and then neither does roll the die because that's not actually purchasing the unit. From there, when I pick up the forbidden fruit, I could have picked up the bossy, or I could have picked up the labyrinth minotaur, but neither of those are particularly exciting to get fated to. And similar thing here, we could have just locked onto the shard of the ice queen and then picked up 2 other units in this shop, and that could have been okay, but I didn't really want to get fated to any of them, and I was still thinking maybe it would be fine to try to roll and find a blind mouse. So that's exactly what I do again this turn. I pick up the Genie's Wish, which gets us very close to completing the treasure on Cindy. And then I figure I could throw in another roll and look for a blind mouse. And Polywoggle isn't the craziest idea here, because if we get the Polywoggle to slay next turn, then we'll be fated to a tier 4 unit, so it could be pretty cool. But I figured maybe we could still find a blind mouse that could still wind up being powerful. If we find it in the next roll, then I just sell off my baby root, pick up the blind mouse there, and then we'll pick up some more over the course of the next 2 turns. But I don't find anything that I really want to be fated to at this point of the game. I am going to fix my positioning here a little bit, just wasn't thinking about that, but we'll make that a little bit stronger for the future. We will take a little bit of damage though, because my opponents are playing 5 units to my 2. But now we can become fated to a tier 3 unit. And unfortunately, there were no tier 3 units in that opening shop, so I wind up rolling, and then I find a Brave Princess along with a bunch of other tier 3 units. So we'll pick up the Brave, cast the Earthquake, and at this point, I've got to let you in on a little something. I knew that you couldn't become fated to Cinderella, but I just kind of had a brain fart, and I thought that we would be fated to Brave Princess. And I thought that was just going to be busted. I would pick up Brave Princess over the course of the next 2 turns, and I figure if we're going to be picking up some more Brave Princesses, then we might as well also pick up a questing steed. Now, obviously, you can't get fated to questing units. That's the reason we weren't fated to Cindy. I'm going to realize that in the next shop. But part of my confusion there is because you can become fated to a Brave Princess if your Polywoggle slays and turns into a Brave Princess. But of course that doesn't work if you just purchase it. But still, buying a Brave Princess on 3.0 is still very strong. So that could still be very good for us, and we're actually going to walk away from this combat with a win and some bonus gold from my opponent's prized pig. Now, I'm going to be a little bit confused right here. I'm looking for the Brave Princess. I'm like, wait, I thought we were fated. Where is it? And then I'm going to realize everything that I just said. But we now get to be fated to a new unit. And we will, for that, wind up picking up the Shadow Assassin. I almost take the Good Witch first, but this shop works out pretty nicely, that you can just take Shadow Assassin, then take the Good Witch, and then turn the Shadow Assassin good. A little bit silly, but that'll work out, and then you can support the Shadow Assassin with the Good Witch of the North. So definitely a very weird start to this game, but ultimately I think is still going to be a start that is quite powerful. Now, what is interesting is, like, maybe we don't actually want the noble steed, the questing treasure there, because we'd rather just pick up a tier 3 treasure from our fated unit and then a tier 3 treasure from questing princess, and then potentially with that find like hat ball or something like that. Tier 4 treasures aren't particularly powerful, though there are still really good tier 4 treasures if you get them early enough in the game, and especially something like Sky Castle or Forking Rod or Fool's Gold. A lot of these treasures can be quite powerful. So we definitely have some options going forward. I'm going to pick up another Shadow Assassin. That is our fated unit. And then I'm not sure what I actually like from here. Maybe I will just pick up a baby. Yeah, I'm not super sure where I go with from this turn. I think I could also just see rolling down, though I'm not particularly excited for that either. We could go with like the queen. We could also pick up Polywoggle. I don't think any of these options are particularly impressive or unimpressive either way, but I guess I actually do like this route here. And this makes a lot of sense that the baby route isn't doing too much for us at this point in the game. So what we can actually do is just roll and be preparing to sell that baby route and then play a board like this. And now we've got 2 units that are big enough that they should probably slay. And then we've got this Shadow Assassin that is an interesting character to be fated to because it does have some build around potential. I mentioned Hat and Ball, but there's also like Sting and Blood Moon and other tier 3 treasures that really work well for slay comps. Or maybe even we find Cursed Throne or something like that and try to do some funky stuff with that. We are going to get the slay onto the both of our characters actually, but most importantly the Brave Princess. So we are going to have that tier 4 treasure right now going on to 4.0, and then we'll also pick up a tier 3 treasure. And there's a few really good options here. Forking Rod, Fool's Gold, both very strong, especially this early on in the game. But I'm going to go for Forking Rod because we're about to pick up a tier 3 treasure. Could be Hat or Ball, both of which would go very nicely with this Forking Rod. And from here, I'm thinking Toil and Trouble might just be what the doctor ordered. A double cast on that is pretty good. And then we could either just pick up Medusa, or we could sell off the Good Witch and pick up like the Lady of the Lake or the Medusa. I meant to say we could just pick up the Lucky, but yeah, it's better to, I think, sell something off here. And Romeo is probably an even better thing to sell off too. And then we get to pick up the doubled up Toil and Trouble. We'll speed up the footage a little bit here in the mid game, but I had a bunch of stuff to talk about for that early game. Still kind of learning the new editing software, so I don't want to get too fancy with it, but I do want to speed it up for a little bit here so that we can yada yada through this mid game, where you can see we are just ridiculously powerful with the Shadow Assassin. We are potentially powerful enough that we could try to play some prized pigs, and I'm definitely going to pick up a second one of those to potentially try to find Hat or something like that. And then I will use a little bit of my cash this turn to ball around because we do have that Forking Rod, so all of these spells are doing a lot of work here, and I think that we are strong enough that we are just going to be able to get some pig gold for our troubles here. Our front line, absolutely massive. A 2020 Shadow Assassin and Ogre Princess, and then a Brave Princess and a Cindy kind of holding things down, trying to buffer for our pigs. And from here, we are really just hoping to buy some time so that we are strong enough that we can roll for Aeons, and then we'll use those Aeons to get even more powerful. But that's definitely the route that we want to go with the Forking Rod and the Crystal Ball here. And again, like I said, we're going to just continue to be powerful. We get to keep both of our prized pigs for this turn. So even though we don't have a Hat, we do have a bunch of extra econ. just from the fact that we've got 4 bonus gold this turn. We could even get some more bonus gold with the spinning gold, but not quite yet. I think that we'd rather hold off on that. And even healing potion, like, I'm not super excited for healing potion. We don't need more health, so it's just like, it's not providing any stats on the board, so I think that ultimately it is not going to be worth it. There are some really interesting things that we can do in this shop, though, especially with a doubled up kidnap. I really like that. And picking up both of these golden chickens allow us to bring a bunch of gold onto level 5 to then better be able to look for Aeon. So I'm going to double cast Kidnap, and we're going to steal 2 units here from Klek, and still be quite strong for this turn. Picking up the Wizard's Familiar, picking up the Robin Wood just for the turn temporarily, and overall just being a huge high roller on this lobby. We get another free stuff. Yeah, we get the free stuff there from the Kidnap. We get the 2 dragons, and then we also get the greedy from the Ogre Princess. That's all I was trying to get at. But that all contributes to a bunch of econ, which is going to allow us to easily roll for this Aeon and add that to our board. From here, I'm really just looking for Baba Yaga, which we find pretty easily. And at this point, I'm going to toss the pigs because I feel like we've got enough other stuff going on. I'm going to pick up another Wizard's Familiar, and then I'm just going to look for spells that can make Aeon stronger. But instead of finding that, I just find another Aeon, which also technically does make Aeon stronger because now the Aeons will pump each other. So I'm going to sell off Greedy, double cast this Spinning Gold. That's going to give both of the Aeons +4 attack because both of my Aeons give all of my mages +2 attack every time I cast a spell. So 13 attack Aeons, not super impressive, but it's a start. It's a definite start here, and the Aeons are going to be big enough to slay. The Lightning Dragons are going to be enough to take out my opponent's troublesome things in my backline. Both Aeons actually do slay. The Aeons attack nicely. Unfortunately, my opponent did deal with my Baba Yaga, and we don't win the combat, but our spells are still a little bit cheaper this turn nonetheless, and we can feed something to the Kraken. So that'll give us some nice econ as well, and we just have to figure out what is getting fed, and that's going to be the Ogre Princess at this point in the game, and then I'm going to Shard of the Ice Queen, our Fated unit, hoping to find a Spellweaver. That would be really nice there. Then we're just going to finish up by casting a bunch more spells on Aeon, and when I say finish up, I mean that we still have 14 gold left. So we're going to wind up rolling and picking up another Wizard's Familiar, just skipping on that treasure just for the economy of it all, and then we find the Spellweaver. So doing quite good, doing quite good. I don't think that I want another Wizard's Familiar at this point. I think that we are fine, and then just looking for what do we want to the end. I'm just going to wind up the ending one of my dragons. That gives me 2 XP and 8 health. Now we'll wind up casting some health, and I wish I could have cast that dream spell before the turn was up, but unfortunately we just did not have enough time left on the clock. Both of my Aeons are going to slay, so my spells will cost 4 less next turn, catching my breath there in between while we watch this combat play out. Pretty crushing victory, and honestly we are doing super powerful, enough so that I feel pretty confident in just picking up a Hercules on this turn. I think about casting the Croc spell. I don't even remember. Okay, I do actually wind up casting it. Could not remember if I did or not. And then I kind of just like Evil Twin on Hercules here to try to farm some tier 7 treasures. I feel like that could be really cool. There's a lot of really strong tier 7 treasures, and I want to make some fun stuff happen. So I'm going to cast some more spells on these Herculeses to try to make some fun stuff happen there. The main spells that you are looking for are going to be like, well, there's and I said spells, I meant treasures. There's a lot of really cool treasures that you can find on tier 7, but Black Prism is going to be chief among them. That could be really powerful here. And then just put in another Baba Yaga. We're up against the Ghost, so I do feel reasonably confident that we are going to be able to win. So I just want to maximize my slays and make my spells as cheap as possible for the next turn. And unfortunately, we don't get Hercules off this turn. I needed to cast one more spell on it, so should have dedicated a little bit more love to that one. But hopefully we get those Hercules off the ground next turn. We are also going to get a Storm King. It's just a temporary one, but a huge Storm King. Probably want to play it in some capacity. I am then going to... oh, that's right. We wind up feeding this Croc to the Kraken, but I wind up mix-a-whizzling the Wizard's Familiar. So we get to send that up the chain a little bit, and then I will make another copy of Aeon. Unfortunately, our spells are not cheap enough yet that we are double casting our... sorry, getting distracted by everything happening here. We're not double casting Evil Twins just yet. But one thing that is really, really important there is we actually get to keep both of our Mix-a-Whizzles this turn. So there's a few ways that you can make Mix-a-Whizzle into a permanent buff, and then I'm going to end this turn by going for a Pigomorph, which is a double casted Pigomorph, and then picking up a Spellweaver. But you can keep your Mix-a-Whizzles if you transform the character again, and there's a couple ways to do that. You can Shard of the Ice Queen it, you can True Love's Kiss it, which is what we did to our Wizard's Familiar, so we permanently have this huge Lightning Dragon, but also if you throw it in a Croc, you get to keep it permanently. So this Storm King is going to permanently stick around here, and then we also get this Hercules activated, and we get a tier 7 treasure. So Holy Grail is probably the best option of the ones that I see here, but we still have a choice to make because we still have another Hercules. And this is potentially a little bit silly, but I feel like we have enough health that I might want to hang on to this noble steed for a little bit longer. And that briefly makes me consider the Radiant Prism, but I think Holy Grail plus Crystal Ball is a lot of fun and really powerful, so I'm going to go for that this turn. We unfortunately do not have cheap spells this turn, so we will wind up having to actually pay for any of these spells that we cast, which means I don't really want to spend that much gold just casting spells this turn, but I'm gonna wind up doing so anyways, just to stay strong and keep myself alive. But next turn we are gonna have 1,000 gold. Hopefully we can grab another treasure off of this Hercules soon, but this game's almost over, so I'm not super convinced. You will see that when this second Croc opens up, because it is a Kraken. I was trying to combine like turducken, you know? It's just Kraken. And it's a Croc with a Croc inside. We are going to see that Storm King is still what is inside of there. So that is a really sweet way to carry that around. Unfortunately, we do not get the treasure off of Hercules this turn. We don't get the kill onto Pied Piper, so still have a few more turns to play out this game, and one of those turns right here is going to be a Holy Grail turn. I'm going to throw a bunch of spells onto this Hercules, so that way we can try to activate it this turn. I think that that is going to be good for us. And our spells are also really cheap this turn, but it doesn't really matter. Knighthood is basically free though, so that's sweet. And then you just see me casting all of my other spells onto Hercules. Probably shouldn't have even wasted my time with Feed the Kraken, but we'll go for it nonetheless. And then we pick up a Storm King. We upgrade that, so now we've got another upgraded Storm King. Could probably take out the Lordy or something. I've still got that in for a moment though. We'll see what else happens with that. Then I wind up picking one more Storm King and a Spinning Gold up before ending the turn. Now we are up against Kleck, and they have got some trees together, but we have just assembled a much bigger board. We are going to get our Hercules activation, so that will be a tier 7 treasure for us this turn, and potentially some really strong stuff that we could do with that. Still would be interested in a Black Prism, but we're also very well set up for Mirror here. And it takes me a second to realize it, but with 2 Scions of the Storm, both of those work really, really well with Mirror, because when they respawn themselves, they remember all of the stats that they have gained from all of the spells you've cast this game. Unfortunately, Croc does not work super well with Mirror Mirror. We could also play the Echo Wood. It is kind of cute with all of these other things though, because when the Scions respawn, the Echo Wood will get the stats from those Scions. So that's just like a very silly, weird interaction, but definitely something we could try to play into. And then when the one comes out of the Croc too, that's also going to give the Echo Wood a bunch of stats. We wind up casting the getting another copy of Aeon there, and then ending the turn by locking onto a magic research, but I don't think it's going to matter. My opponent's really going to have to scam this board to get the better of us here, and you'll see that when this Croc summons the Scion of the Storm, the Echo Wood in the back gets all of those stats, and that'll be the same for when Scions of the Storm spawn off of the Mirror Mirror. And we've been pretty lucky to dodge any of my opponent's major scams. We really just have to kill that Cupid, and once we do that, we are in the clear here and are free to win this game. Pretty exciting one, all things considered. It was a really fun game with the Fates, where we waited. We didn't buy any units in that early turn in the game, and I think that's something that's really interesting. Obviously, you can't just always do that. You have to find the roll the die, but, and I think I did bring this up at the start of the video, the reason that I was so selective in what I purchased is I was hoping we could find one of those huge high-rolling units like Humpty Dumpty or Blind Mouse. But then when we didn't find those, I was like, all right, well, maybe we can get a little bit silly with it. We're still powerful enough that we're not just dead right now. We've picked up 2 units. So maybe we can use this to find a bigger lead down the line. And we definitely did. A really strong game. Holy Grail Crystal Ball into Mirror Mirror with a bunch of Scions. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm No Lex Given. Peace. For my giveaway this week, leave a comment on any of my videos and include the word monster. New week, new code word, and you'll be entered into a chance to win a 4,000 dust code. The reason that I say to include the word, that way I can differentiate between the people just leaving a comment and those that are actually interested in the dust, to make sure that it goes to a person that will appreciate it. And there's no limit to how many times you can enter. You can go back and comment on some of my previous videos. I've been uploading daily Storybook Brawl videos for the past 7 or 8 months at this point, so I'm sure there is some sweet content that you have yet to see. And yeah, you can enter multiple times. I will do a new code next week. And the other thing that I wanted to say is that if a bunch of people enter, I will give away more codes. So that's just going to be limited by how many people are entering and how many people are commenting. Let's get this channel to over 1,000. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching. I'm No Lex Given. Peace.